Well, folks, Al Puglisi Trains with our friend Howard Zane here on Memorial Day, and we are working on Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, Howard.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate it.
And you were a veteran, and
I was 8 years Army.
Nobody shot at you, luckily.
No, nor did I shoot at anybody, even though I felt like it. No, I just lucked out.
Wow.
I don't talk much about it because I kind of felt guilty. Because a lot of guys in my class at Fort Rucker came back in rubber bags. People I knew. And I should have been there. And I didn't ask for the orders or the jobs I had at the military. They just fell on me.
Right.
But I never wound up in Vietnam. Had I been on orders to go to Vietnam, which I was 3 times, but somehow they were pulled, I would have gone.
Wow. Well, folks, we again give thanks for our veterans and remember the Memorial Day for them. And this also goes to anybody we know, and especially firefighters and policemen. And what better thing to talk about on Memorial Day too than these firehouses? These are really incredible.
For the first responders, Al, they have a hell of a job. Yeah. Now, do you ever hear what the fireman's test is like? You got to carry these hoses up steps, ladders.
Right.
It's tough work, really.
I heard they had to carry like a 185-pound sack
like that,
up a ladder, and but these firehouses you built custom built for a client, 2 clients.
2 clients, that's correct.
And one was a local client, and the other one is in the Midwest somewhere. And these will be shipped. These can be shipped. The other one's going to be a local pickup.
Right.
And if you get something local pickup, it's worth the drive because then you get to see the layout.
Well, I'd recommend it's whenever possible local pickup, mainly because no matter how well you wrap these things, the chance of damage is still there.
Yeah. Now,
we know how to wrap these things, and we use larger boxes. We use a lot of bubble wrap and whatever, but still, these gorillas are. I shouldn't really say that. I don't want to impugn anybody that works for the Postal Service.
All right, but
I take it back.
We get what you were saying, but if you come, you get to see Howard's layout. You get to see my layout if you want, which is a tiny Christmas tree layout compared to Howard's.
And don't forget the coffee.
And the coffee.
Which tastes like somebody washed their feet in it. I usually say something else, but it's right.
Well, and we were talking earlier, you never do 2 the exact same. So on a past episode, Howard did a sketch out of his mind of a firehouse. And these are some 5-minute sketches, Howard.
Well, maybe about 5. This one here is 5 minutes. That might be 7 minutes.
Wow.
I usually time. The one over there is 15 minutes.
This is absolutely gorgeous, this one here. And
part of the work I did, actually, after college, I went back and I taught a course, which was called Graphic Communications, which has a totally different meaning today. The course I taught, actually, I was assistant professor in the class, and I was teaching architects, industrial designers, and interior designers how to sketch what the client wants in the presence of the client. Quick sketching.
Wow.
To put your thoughts down on paper. And that's easy if you know the 3 rules, which are the 3 points, the 3 types of perspective. You got 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. And then you can eventually figure it out. As long as you know where the points go, you can do any kind of sketching.
And you're going to...
this is part of your training.
Right. This is something you're going to try to teach me.
As soon as our West Coast customer leaves on the 15th, that's our next assignment. There's 2 sketch pads, one for me and one for you, and I'm going to get a goddamn rubber hose and beat you with it.
Yeah, because every sketch I've done so far, you say, this looks like a 5-year-old did it. It looks like shit. You roll it up in the trash.
Yeah. Well, I won't be too tough on it.
No,
You've done
it's
some nice work, really.
It's good. Well, talking about work, one of the mistakes I've made in the past is, and maybe some of us have also, I'm not going to detail the back of the building, or I'm not going to detail the side of the building because on my layout it's never going to be seen. But the rule here that you've taught me is you want all 4 sides done in case you ever decide to sell it or put it in a different spot on the railroad.
This is true. Decide to sell is very important. Now, there was a very famous modeler back in the 40s. His name was Frank Ellison. And he passed away, obviously, a long time ago. But about 5 years ago, his buildings were offered at an auction house in Pennsylvania, in Pottstown. And I was amazed because Ellison, what he would do, he only modeled what you could see on the layout. Now the structures, people actually bought them. I was amazed. They were made out of cardstock and well, it wasn't the way I would do things. I can't say anything negative about Ellison because he was great during his time period, and even today he would have been good. But people bought these buildings. It was only half of a building, or there was some of the sides weren't finished, and all the backs were open because you didn't see them.
Right.
You don't want to do that. But he was lucky because of his name. That stuff sold. People wanted it.
Right.
If you have not a name and just want to sell the stuff, you want to have all elevations done.
Right.
Not 3/4 of a building or 2/3 or a half.
And this one here is about a foot by
Well, I
6.
said it's a 12 by 6.
12 by 6.
11 by 6, and 12 by 7.
And we're just doing round. What the hell is this thing called? I keep Lazy Susan. I keep forgetting. And man, this thing's beautiful. And then we'll look at the other one. Another splendid specimen. HO scale, and we do these. You can do these in O scale as well, or HO.
Well, I may want to change the design. Our subtle difference is mainly in the doors and the smokestacks and the size.
Yeah, I love it. I love them. They're
and
very
these are not lit.
Yes, these are.
Even though they could be. But the backs, the inside's completely open. So there's no limit to what we could do in there.
Yeah, oh yeah. And with the big wide doors, I can see the doors. These are scratch built. These are not. These were doors that you made.
Well, oversized doors. A lot of times, fire trucks had cabs on top for a bed. This is a small fire, so that's how it fit in there.
Yeah.
Give it a percent. Wow. So you want a large door.
And a lot of light coming through the doors.
That's the main reason.
And then I see that vent you did for the drying tower. That was
cool. An HO staircase.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And then let's talk about these signs. You found these signs. You Googled fire station signs
on the internet, and just do a search for old firehouse signs, and all this stuff will come up. So what I did was I found this, printed it to the right size, and then glued them on styrene.
Where'd that one go? We had it was on
over here.
Yeah, styrene. We'll show folks.
It's glued on 40,000 styrene, which you could cut very comfortably with a scissors. So you don't have to worry about knifing it. Or you could put it through, if you have a bandsaw, you could do that.
Right. But scissors works.
Oh, scissors works great.
And you can use various different signs. Your local fire company, if you have a significant other, folks, if you have a fireman that wants a firehouse just as a mantelpiece.
Well, there's a lot of amazing, really great fire logos. If you look, this thing is beautiful. I mean, that was obviously it's a piece of graphic masterpiece. It's a graphic masterpiece, actually. The design of that.
You had a hard time because I remember there were so many, like you said, so many really good-looking signs to choose from.
You just have to make a decision. Close your eyes and go like this.
Right. But if you have a particular firehouse that you want built, let us know and we can take a look at the sign and see if it's something, we could build into a model if you want one of these built for a fireman or a firewoman or somebody in the fire department. If you don't have a model railroad, we have people that buy these just to have them on display because their dad or their mom was a firefighter, or their granddad was a fire. My wife's grandfather was the chief of Easton Fire Company for years, and she wants me to build the Easton Firehouse, which is a prototype. But we won't talk about that because she's mad because she wants it now, so she's going to have to wait.
Well, I have a request now if somebody wants a copy of an existing structure, and I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
It's okay looking, but there's no thrill. We talked about it before. It's art if you do the whole thing from inception to completion. Design it. Copying somebody else's art is not art in my estimation. What it is craftsmanship.
Right, and that's your opinion.
We talked about that before.
Right.
And that's my opinion only.
Right.
That's what works for me.
But what's interesting about your buildings is my wife and I took a road trip and we go, oh my God, that looks like that firehouse Howard just built. Even though these are out of your mind, it's possible that something like this exists somewhere that looks damn near like it. You know?
As I say, art follows life. Art follows life. I forgot how you say that.
Right.
Imitation is whatever.
Whatever the hell it is.
What I can't remember what
Right.
the hell.
But tell us the story about the town
The
downstairs.
town is yeah, I remember this story. It was
What was
I
it?
built a town on the layout called Speranza. It's right next to the Speranza mine.
Okay.
Now, I just had an idea. I just built it, and it was done. Several years later, Sandy and I go to a music festival. Actually, it wasn't just myself. It's before I met Sandy, and I stayed at a B&B, which was actually the only structure left in this town. It's called Winona, West Virginia.
Mhm.
It's down in Fayette County, I believe, and it was nice. It was only like an 8-minute ride to the fairgrounds where the festival was. But the town was interesting. I took a look around the town and drove around, and it was pretty much closed up. The mine paid out during the 50s.
Mhm.
So everything has been defunct except this one building, which was funked. That's where we stayed. Is that the correct terminology, funked?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it works. What the hell, it works for me. So, now years later, I went to this town, Winona, and it was exactly what I had on. It was the town of Speranza. My layout was right there.
Wow.
The only difference was the color on the main house, which today is the B&B,
Wow.
which eventually closed up.
Wow.
It was just too far off the beaten track. They couldn't make a living at it.
Wow. So it was virtually the same as the town you built.
Oh, yeah.
You just dreamed up out of your
It
mind.
was spooky. Now, I may have told you this story about the writer, Morgan Robertson.
Mhm.
Robertson was an author back in the late 19th century. He wrote a book called Futility, but the poor dumb sumbitch couldn't get it published. It was too bizarre. Nobody could imagine a steamship at 45,000 tons. Now, in this ship, or the ship in the book was called the RMS Titan, which means Royal Mail Ship Titan.
Mhm.
But it was a story about a 45,000 ton ocean liner. The captain's name was Smith. The had 3 screws. One was the center screw was a turbine, and the other ones were normally piston engines, regular steam engines on each side. It hit an iceberg on its maiden voyage and sunk. 700 people were saved, and 1,500 people were died in Martin Robertson's book. Well, as I said, it was bizarre because nobody could imagine this. Now let's go up to 1912. I don't have to. I'm sure people know history, the story of the
Right.
Titanic.
Right.
He always had everything right, except he called the book and the story the RMS Titan, Titan.
Wow.
Had he put IC, Titanic,
Right.
he would have been completely correct.
Wow.
So how does that happen? Who knows?
Right.
It's just dumb luck, I think. There's no spooky reason or anything like that. He doesn't have the power. People say Nostradamus was it was out of another world because he predicted things 500 years ahead.
Right.
I don't believe that. It just happened. That's all.
Right.
It's anyhow, things like that show me and I'll believe it. I have
Right.
a very open mind.
Well, folks, if you're driving down the road and you see a firehouse that looks just like this, you need to email us a picture of it.
Yeah. Well, another thing, these firehouses you mentioned, we could build one of these things. You got to remember, a few weeks ago I turned 86.
Mhm.
Now, I am getting older and older, and I'm beginning to feel it. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. This is one of the reasons I want to work with you, so you can pick up where I left off.
Well, hopefully you're around for another 10
You never
years.
know. I've done everything in my life I wanted to do except one major thing, which I may have talked about, and that was I had an appointment to the Air Force Academy.
Mm-hmm.
That was would have been the class of 1957, and Dad said he knew I wanted to fly, but he said if you want to fly, you have to go through Air Force training and be the best there is. So I went through Army training, and so we always trained as a cow pasture pilot instead of a jet pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like flying out of cow pastures.
Wow.
It's more fun. So anyhow, I chose the exact antithesis of the Air Force Academy, which was the University of Miami in Florida. Why?
Oh, shit.
Because I had 6 years at a boys' private school. Had to wear blue suits, jackets with blazers on it, and gray suits during the day and blue suits at night, or the school jacket.
Wow.
I got so friggin' sick of this. Plus, I had no idea what a woman would look like. I wanted to see women in bathing suits.
Yes.
Better yet, women in two-piece bathing suits.
Yes.
And get suntan, so
Yes.
that's what happened.
Wow.
It didn't work well. I dropped out after a year and went to work on the railroad, as we talked about. Worked on the Southern Pacific.
And it was the Southern Pacific?
Well, it was actually the Texas and Oregon, but my paycheck came.
Okay.
Pacific.
But you had a really nasty job. You creosoted ties.
No, I ran the Limited.
Oh.
No, I wish I did. I was in the tie production department.
The tie production.
First, I loaded the dollies, then I unloaded the dollies with the craft that was creosote on it. You don't want to do that.
Man.
But it smelled like creosote for years. Now, we talked about briefly at one time, but if a woman wore perfume that smelled like coal or like creosote
Right.
or hot grease,
Right.
yeah, I don't give a shit if she looked like a friggin' wildebeest
Right.
or whatever. She's mine. I'm going after her.
You know,
That's my kind of lady.
that is so cool. We were thinking, we should really come out with a line of male colognes: coal,
It was so.
soot, creosote. Nothing smells better than a shade locomotive. I mean, folks, that
maybe 2 shades.
It just turns me on to no end. God, a woman with that scent would be, oh my God. My wife, of course, she is highly asthmatic and she gags savagely, but a scent might
even
work.
the smoke that comes out of the little smoking engines from Broadway Limited and Lionel or whatever.
Right.
I kind of like that. They have various odors too.
Yes.
You can buy candles with rose, vanilla flavored, and all kinds of flavors.
All kinds of stuff. Well, Howard, I really appreciate it. And folks, if you're interested in having one of these custom built for you, an O scale or HO scale, contact me at alpug1@verizon.net. We can get you a price and we can, talk about color. And if you want a custom sign, maybe you have a local fire department you want done, let us know. And thanks, Howard. I appreciate
it. Don't forget my tail.
All right. It's a little bigger since it's Memorial Day. Here, swing around the other way. You almost look like some of these guys in a Grateful Dead tribute band.
Well, there was a guy last night on public television. They had these before this Memorial Day.
Downtown, the gathering.
Yeah, they had the army band and said he was watching. It says, "You got to see this guy playing the guitar." You couldn't tell if he was walking forwards or backwards. He had so much hair.
Wow.
He had a beard down to here and actually went all the way here. His hair was just like this. Looked like kind of like my color.
Wow.
But he was a good guitar player. But he was with the army band.
Oh wow! I thought they'd make him cut his hair.
Doesn't look like the military type, but I can't figure out why.
Well, Howard, thanks so much. And folks, again, if you want one of these or you want some information about it, contact me and let us know. Thanks, Howard.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.